I've been covering the Donald Trump Russia relationship or possible friendship for a long time now, and many people in our audience have resisted it. And over the weekend, we have learned so much about it, and we will talk about that. Remember last week when Donald Trump attempted to one up his earlier comment suggesting that his supporters could assassinate Hillary Clinton by making the assertion that President Obama founded ISIS? I'll remind you about that clip from last week, just so we can all get on the same page. Take a look.
To say,
ISIS is honoring President Obama.
Right.
He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Okay? He's the founder.
Yeah.
He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
So repeating it doesn't make it true. And as it turns out, Michael McFaul, who's a former U.S. ambassador to Russia and professor at Stanford University, noticed something interesting about Trump's Obama-founded ISIS thing from last week. Check out the tweet that former U.S. ambassador Michael McFaul sent saying, by the way, Trump's line that Obama founded ISIS echoes exactly a myth propagated by Russian state-controlled media and bloggers. And we've talked to you extensively about these Russian bloggers and how they spread pro-Kremlin. And we also have evidence of pro-Trump propaganda all over the internet. And we've been exploring the connections between Trump and Russia for a long time. And Trump, of course, continues to deny them. Now, let's look at what we knew prior to this weekend and what we know now based on a New York Times article that came out last night. If you're trying to distance yourself from pro-Kremlin, pro-Putin Russian factions, first of all, it might be good not to parrot their conspiracy theories on the campaign trail. That's number one. We have now learned, though, that Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's campaign manager who replaced the fired Corey Lewandowski, is tied to pro-Russian politicians in Ukraine. There's a new report from the New York Times, and it exposes some handwritten ledgers which show that $12.7 million in undisclosed cash payments were designated for Paul Manafort from Mr. Viktor Yanukovych's pro-Russian political party from 2007 to 2012. This is according to Ukraine's newly formed National Anti-Corruption Bureau. And in addition to that, Lewis, we have now learned that criminal prosecutors are investigating offshore shell companies that helped Viktor Yanukovych's inner circle finance their lifestyles. And Trump's own campaign manager, Paul Manafort, is now being investigated, as of CNN's statement this morning, for possibly receiving illegal payments in Russia. If you're trying to distance yourself from Russia, Lewis, maybe parroting pro-Russian talking points and hiring a guy who reportedly received millions in off-the-record payments from pro-Russian groups is not the best way to distance yourself.
Yeah, another example of how Trump seems to... no one who is competent or trustworthy or fantastic or great or terrific wants to work for Trump. And the rhetoric, when it comes to the rhetoric, I could easily see the similar rhetoric just being a coincidence, right? The
Right.
Obama rhetoric, that type of thing.
Sure.
That wouldn't surprise me. But now we're getting a little deeper, and it's kind of ugly.
And not only that, the rhetoric matching up might be not a big deal if that was all we had. But we also know that Trump's views on the Ukraine-Russia conflict actually changed after hiring Paul Manafort. Donald Trump first seemed to support Ukraine's territorial integrity back in September. He spoke by video feed to a gathering of political and business elites in Kiev. And he said that his rhetoric was very, very pro-Ukrainian. And then all of a sudden, Paul Manafort gets involved, and now Trump's rhetoric on Russia is softening. He influences the Republican National Committee, although he says he didn't even really know what was going on, which actually further lends itself to this connection to pro-Russia, which is that Manafort did this on his own under the guise of being part of or representative of the Trump campaign. Russia may genuinely see all of this as hilarious, right? We've talked, Lewis, about how Russia may just think, hey, we should try to get Trump elected because he'll be such an embarrassment that in contrast, Russia will actually look like a more legitimate player in the world politics game.
Well, that might be it. Maybe not just looking like a more legitimate player, but perhaps Putin wants someone in office that he thinks is weak and that he could easily manipulate.
Sure.
And so there could be very serious consequences.
Not good. If you're trying to show that there is no connection between you and your campaign and Russia, Trump is doing the exact opposite of what he should be doing.